3, 2, 1.
Here we go!
Hello guys, what is up and welcome back to the Sports Shift with me, Ian Marquez. F1 is well and truly back. Another week of racing is upon us, and this week, the sprints are back. Let's get started. So here are our driver standings after 1 week of racing. McLaren were very dominant this weekend, especially Lando Norris, taking pole and maintaining control of the race, and a very dominant victory. Max Verstappen, whose car definitely is not on the level of the McLarens, he still has enough skill and ability to handle the car and let the others make the mistakes. As we saw with Piastri, very late in the race, going off the track, trying to compete for position, and inevitably doing quite well to get the car going again and get back to 9th place. Following that, we have two Mercedes fighting in about the right position for them. I don't think they're going to be challenging for too many race wins, but they'll always be in the hunt. Quite a nifty job for Mercedes. Antonelli with a very impressive debut to his F1 career. Then we have three people punching above their weight. We have Alex Albon, Lance Stroll, and Nico Hülkenberg. Both in cars you don't expect to do too well this season, but we know the Williams has always been quite pacey, as has the Aston Martin, and Hülkenberg just has loads of experience. Great drives from all three of them. Then we have Leclerc and Hamilton with Piastri sandwich in between. Very disappointing for Ferrari. We expect them to be fighting higher along the likes of Mercedes, and Piastri with a very late mistake in the race that cost him some vital points. So let's check out the Constructor Championship. Well, McLaren dominant on top. They had pole and second starting position, so no surprise there. It definitely could have been a lot higher had Piastri not spun out late in the race. Mercedes with an impressive drive, both Russell and Antonelli doing what the car would let them. Max Verstappen as always challenging the top. Three teams fighting for that, I would say, 5th spot. The likes of Williams, Aston Martin, Kick Sauber, all going to be challenging for the final points every race. And if they can get any sort of consistency, I think the 5th spot will definitely be theirs. Then we have Alpine, RB, and Haas. All have one thing in common. They all have a rookie driving for them. And with a tough start to the season for all three teams, I expect it to be quite difficult throughout the season. However, we did see in qualifying that RB can be quite pacey. Alpine have a very experienced Pierre Gasly, and Haas have a well-known Esteban Ocon. So anything is possible, and I look forward to see what they do this weekend. So here is the rookie leaderboard. As I mentioned, Antonelli with a very impressive drive to secure 4th position for Mercedes and have them at the top of the constructor title. The rest of the rookies with a debut to forget. Isaac Hadjar not even making the race starts, going out on the warm-up lap, trying to warm up his tires and just losing control. Similarly, the likes of Ollie Behrman, Liam Lawson, very difficult qualifying periods, forcing them to start from the pit lane. And all in all, it really was a disappointing race for the rest of the rookies. That being said, China with the opportunity for extra points, with the likes of a sprint, these rookies can definitely have a go. Isaac Hadjar was very close to a top 10 start, and I think anything is possible. These rookies will definitely need to prove themselves because there will be a lot of people fighting for these seats, and I personally think that some of them are a bit fortunate to be driving in F1 right now, but you have to take the opportunity when it's handed to you, and let's see who can. Antonelli certainly seems to have that in mind. So, the Shanghai Grand Prix. Well, this race is going to be very exciting. It is the first sprint of the season, so let me remind you how the sprints work. You start off with FP1, you have limited practice sessions in a sprint weekend. That is because the practice sessions are replaced by SPQ, the sprint qualifier, and the sprint race itself. Then there will be another qualifying session for the Grand Prix, followed by the Grand Prix on Sunday. So it is limited time to get all the data you require, and you have to be very efficient in the use of your time during the practice session. So how about a little bit more info about the track? Well, the Grand Prix will be 56 laps. The sprint itself will be 19 laps. This racetrack features 16 turns and 2 DRS zones. Interesting information about these DRS zones. They are some of the longest straights on the calendar. And if you thought they weren't long enough already, the main straight has been extended 75 meters and the entire track has been completely repaved. This is going to allow for a tremendous amount of overtakes and it's going to be a very, very exciting race. Last season, there were 25 overtakes and assists by DRS, and that was the most the entire season. And you can expect many more on Sunday. Now, you might think that, okay, it's just about pace, it's just about how fast the car is on the straight, but hold your horses. Because as I mentioned, there are 16 turns, featuring 3 very complex turns, and these turns will favor high downforce. However, as I mentioned, the 2 straights will encourage low drag. So it's going to be very interesting to see how the team finds a balance between the drag and the downforce to get the most out of the racetrack. And we'll see who comes out victorious, but maybe it comes down to skill and maybe Max takes the cake. Guess we'll see. One thing to note is last year there was a lot of drivers violating track limits on turn 16, so keep an eye out for that during qualifying and of course during the race. There will also be updated rear wing testing this weekend. We know there's a bit of controversy over that last week. We just want to make sure no one gains an advantage. Everyone has a fair chance of winning. So how about some predictions? Well, I have Max Verstappen to take pole. While McLaren has a straight line speed, Red Bull have always been very good in the middle sector, in the turns, especially Max Verstappen, the way he takes control of the car. And I don't expect that to change here. I think he'll be able to challenge McLaren enough that he'll be able to take pole and dominate the race. As for the race prediction, well, when he takes pole, he very often wins, and I don't expect that to change. I think Max Verstappen has a comfortable race. He definitely will be challenged by Lando Norris, but once Max gets in front, it usually allows him to create a gap, and he's so good at managing his tires. Unless there's a safety car that benefits one of the other drivers significantly, I don't see Verstappen losing this race, and I expect Ferrari to do a lot better than last week, challenging for a podium. It could be either one, but I went for Charles Leclerc this week. Let me know, are you guys riding with me? Who do you guys have winning the Chinese Grand Prix? Are you guys aware of the caveat that happened with F1 this week in terms of transitioning from Australia to China? It was very interesting because a lot of teams, they freight all the cars, all the extra pieces, all the extra parts that go into the F1 weekend. They'll freight them over Sunday night and it usually arrives there Monday morning. However, there was a bit of controversy as many teams had their cars and other items delayed, forcing the mechanics and all members of the F1 team to lounge around in the hotel because there was nothing to do as the cars had not arrived. I need to follow up on when the cars actually arrived, but if you keep an eye out, I'm sure we'll hear more about that this weekend. It was very interesting and it probably won't be the last. Shows you how important supply chain is, even in F1. So that's going to do it for this video, guys. Be sure to like and subscribe if you haven't already. It definitely helps out the channel. Otherwise, let me know who you guys have winning this weekend. Enjoy this weekend's races and see you guys later.